You're welcome to join us as we bring together some of the country's finest, most inspirational teachers, many of them award winners. They're talking about colleagues, be they inspirational or tormenting.
And what that taught me was...
They say you can't choose members of your family. Within a school body, members of staff can offer each other a similar family dynamic, with the rough and the smooth coming together, often at the same time, as we'll hear.
One particular teacher who started at the school very nervous, very self-conscious, anxious about the teaching, constantly told by Ofsted she was not delivering the satisfactory lessons. Over the last 2 years particularly, she's got the results. In fact, she's gone over and above beyond. I mean, I'm actually getting quite worried. She's so good now that she's better than me, and she's going to be ahead of maths, you know. She's been brilliant. She's now got to the point where from having unsatisfactory lessons, she's initiating new ways in the curriculum. She's entered a whole set through her GCSE maths a year early and developed a new statistic route for them. She's actually taken on board one of the student teachers and developed them. And the best inspirational moment, if you like, happened only this week when we went to a primary school, myself and my colleague, and we delivered a lesson a team teaching lesson to some year fives in the primary school that we're exploring links with and trying to get all the pupils, if you like, the schools to work together. And she delivered an outstanding lesson in front of my eyes, and it was just like, I've just been on a high, you know, for the last few days. It was just amazing to see her fight all the battles and never have that belief that she could do it. You know, and even when she got to the point where she said, I'm a good teacher, but I'll never have those outstanding qualities. I said, you know, you just believe, you can do it.
Keep going.
Yes, I've certainly got colleagues who inspire, and there's one person. There are two people, and they both teach the same subject, and it's dance. And they have this particular mix of massive energy and enthusiasm, coupled with a heavy dose of sarcasm and a lot of comedy and an insult. You know, they really insult the people who are doing the dance, and yet somehow there is a balance between the two. But that's, for me, you say, yeah, that's how it's done. Don't pussyfoot around. Tell them how it is, but do it in a way that, you know, that they feel as though, yeah, it's all right. It's okay to be told that I'm useless, rubbish, and I can't dance, because actually what she means is, I'm not dancing yet, but I can do it.
My own children started at the primary school, and I used to go in as a parent and read and volunteer and stuff. And from that position, I had a unique opportunity to see their teacher at work, and I found it so inspirational to see how she not only engaged and controlled 34-year-olds, essentially most of them were 4, a few of them were 5, but actually got them to learn and to do and to be happy and to be nice to each other and fulfill all the behavioural aspects that were expected of them. And I thought it was just magic. I thought she had this sort of incredible touch with them. And then I was lucky enough to train at that school with the teacher at the other end of the spectrum, who again was someone who just is able to free the children up to be who they can be. And I found it incredibly inspiring to work with both of those teachers who in a fairly straight, shall we say, traditional environment, were still able to provide the children with all the necessary tools to be themselves, and not try and produce a load of cookie cutter children, and give them that independence of thought.
There are many teachers who've inspired me, but if I was to try and answer this question, what is it? Being non-judgmental is essential. But in a sense, we're put in a position where we have to be judgmental. We have to judge their grade, we have to judge their behaviour. But in discussion, being non-judgmental is a real skill, is a real talent. And this particular teacher, who is a colleague of mine now, she has a capacity to have a conversation over, it can be about behaviour, but invariably it's about the drama, about the stuff of the work. And she can converse with this student in a way where the student is quite clearly feeling that they are the creative soul, they are the creative force, they're the ones who are going to make the difference, they're the ones who are going to perform. And it is through that gets them on stage. And I have a TA who does something very similar. I had a child, and I'm sure you'll recognise this in whatever school or whatever subject you teach, the one who finds sitting on a chair impossible. Or, well, actually, it's very interesting to sit on a chair because you can fall off it in all so many different ways. And tables are there to be creative with, you know, to go under, over. He would be under the chairs, he'd be over, he'd be right. He couldn't focus. And this TA was brilliant, because I'd given up, really, with this group who had to produce this piece of drama. I said, look, I can't cope. Can you have a go at it? So she took these 3 boys and this particular one. And what she did was they gave them space, which I couldn't do. Either because I'm inadequate or because there were too many other things to do. But she gave them space and a simple thing like, okay, I'll tell you what, we'll get this little scene done and then we can have a break. What's the break, miss? Well, I'll tell you what, we'll do something really special. We'll go outside and come back again. How about that? And you know, this little carrot was ample because he felt special. And they'd created this piece which was dominantly movement. It was based on a poem which they wrote. Now we're talking about students who are not quite illiterate, but close to it. But they work from that basis because this person gave them space and said, yeah, I'm talking to you as an equal.
What you've said about this pupil going out of the classroom is something that I've seen with you know, successful pupils across different institutions. In terms of staff, that's what they need to do also. They need to know that learning doesn't happen from only a seated position with a table and a chair, maybe a book and a pencil and maybe a whiteboard now attached to it.
I've had a lesson going on inside, and I remember seeing the Year 4 teacher trotting along with her class going out, and I was sort of half listening to what they were doing in the playground, and she'd taken them out to do a coordinates lesson out on the playground. And I thought, you know what, I've got this lesson, we're going to go outside too. So we went outside and I was busy doing measuring and maths outside. Then the Year 6 teacher, she heard we were all having so much fun. Down she came with her class. So she was doing science in one corner, we had coordinates going on here, I was doing measuring. Then we had 3 or 4 parents come around with the head teacher to look at the school, and I thought, well, if I were a parent looking at this school and think, what a lovely, creative, inspiring environment. The point I'm making is that one teacher inspired me to be bolder.
Yes, absolutely.
And then because we decided we weren't going to be confined by our rooms, another teacher came outside with her class.
And it's a snowballing effect, isn't
Isn't it? Yeah.
You're all fantastic at talking about colleagues who have inspired you, but what about those colleagues who have caused you to silently bash your head against a brick wall at the end of the day?
The number one thing is sapping somebody's energy and actually not focusing on the children by focusing solely on their needs, having a jaded view of anything that happens around them. So that's anything. But they're never a problem themselves. You know, and that one really hurts, because if you've got that and somebody's actually thinking, well, actually, I think I'm a bit of a problem and I still don't like X, Y, and Z, you've got something to work with. But where it's like, hey, you know, I'm the number one person in this institution and you're all beneath me.
It's like being unconsciously incompetent, isn't it? It's like the worst.
Absolutely.
You know.
And it's kind of like, you sort of see it as sort of Blackadder and Yes Minister type thing, you know. And
well, that's why they're so funny, because we know those people. We see them, yeah.
And and that's what actually keeps me sane, because I'm thinking I'm in my own Blackadder. Okay, right, here we go. And I feel that what they're doing is sometimes playing people off. So that's the Iago factor, you know, and trying to be everybody's friend, which is a great one. I'm so happy, everyone. And then you've got the more darker scenario where I hate everybody and don't come near me.
Don't come near me.
Yeah, and it's quite funny, but intrinsically they have a one view of everything, and it's their view, and they can't be wrong, and the world's either not working for them.
Yes, that's generally where it comes, is when you're trying to change things and you find that some colleagues are more resistant to change than others. And particularly if you really are trying to make a radical change to the way things have been done for years and years and years. And if you're new, like I am, I found that quite challenging, trying to convince more experienced teachers, if you will, that there's value in maybe tweaking what they do and taking and then having to deliver negative feedback to someone who's been teaching for an awful lot longer than you is so hard. It's so hard.
In the old days of supply teachers, we'd have some real characters. Because it was a very difficult school, we'd have supply teachers that just came in for a day, get their 200 quid and then shoot off, you know. But there would be some that only actually lasted till about 11 o'clock. And then there'd be some that did a couple of days, you know. And that was part of the problem. I think the pupils, you know, felt that, you know, they were actually expecting the teachers to leave. They kept asking me when I started, when are you going, when are you going, when are you going? Are you fed up of us yet? But there was one instance in particular, this lovely supply teacher, well, I forget his name, and he was actually teaching next door to me. It was a year 11 group, a very, very difficult group. I had the set 1 and he had the very, very difficult set 2. And it was very quiet. And we were halfway through the lesson. It had gone very quiet. I could always hear through my storeroom, you know. So I did vent, and my class were actually working, and none of the textbooks were getting thrown about. It was textbook land in those days. And I thought, well, I'll just venture down, see how I was doing, and, you know, and praise the group. And I walked in, and there weren't any pupils in there at all. Just a supply teacher at his desk, reading a newspaper. And I just sort of said to him, well, excuse me, but where's your class gone? You know, the bell's not going to go for another 20 minutes. He said, oh, they went off about 10 minutes ago. They just went off. And I said, well, don't you think you should have told me about it? And he went, and he sort of matter-of-factly said, oh, don't worry, they said they'd be back in 20 minutes. Okay, fair enough.
I'm really interested in the much subtler thing which I think affects schools, teachers, students, and it's the little things. When the teacher walks into the classroom and the first thing he or she does is, oh.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Right, can everyone just get their books out, please? Yeah. You said it all in that 3 seconds, and you might as well give up, because you are not offering any inspiration. You are saying publicly, I am not interested, I'm totally uninspired, I don't want to be here, I don't actually like you. Yes. And so why should any person who is in that as a student, why would they want to be in a room with a person like that?
That's right, exactly. Yeah.
And now that is, I think, it's pretty subtle, you don't notice it, and the tragedy is it's accepted as reasonable practice as long as they're quiet.
That's right.
And as long as they look as they're doing something. And really, many a mug can do that. And that is not teaching.
No. I was talking to Robert as well about the fact that every little thing they do is important. I think that in the training, we don't give that to teachers. You know, the way you've turned up, the way you look is really of importance to
It really
kids.
matters.
And when I've done questionnaires with the pupils and they've drawn their ideal classroom and teacher, you sort of think, oh my gosh, you know, these are the values, these are the images that they'd like to see from their teacher. And then you look at the teacher and you're thinking, right, we need to share this information. And that 360-degree appraisal can't happen enough.
That's what they see. Because often a teacher is tired, is rushed off their feet, they don't know, and they come into the classroom and they're not aware of the impact that they're having.
Yeah, that's absolutely.
In a perfect world, of course, we'd all be above average, which would leave the staff room bare when it came to that heady mix of frustration and inspiration.
Well, we're going to have to bail out before the stories about colleagues get too fruity. The conversation will continue though, and I hope you can join us next time.